And we're back with another AI weekly news roundup. For those of you who haven't seen this before, I am the CTO and founder of Aerion Technologies. We build software development and AI solutions. And in trying to keep up with all the AI news that keeps happening, I've got an automation that runs where I keep track of all the news, podcasts, and videos that I'm watching about AI. And then I have an automated script generated for me on Monday morning from that by AI. That is the script that I'm going to be reading through. I haven't read this before. It's for the first time I'm looking at it now. I share this with the team so they can get up to date with some news and summaries and my thoughts. Then I share it with the broader internet as well, because why not? If you're going to film it once, might as well film it twice. So let's go. Big news last week, just before we start, was GPT-5 release and then their open source model. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of that in this. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. From the past week has been an absolutely wild ride for AI and tech. From controversial GPT-5 launches and its mixed reviews to jaw-dropping open source model releases and breakthroughs in interactive world simulations. I've been deep diving into everything from coding demos to industry shifting investment news. Let's unpack what caught my eye this week and the future of AI. There was also, the Google something 3 model where it was a real world simulation, which I'm sure we'll get to. Section 1, GPT-5, the hype, the praise, the critiques. There's no denying that GPT-5 kept everyone talking. I watched several videos that dissected its improvements in reasoning and rapid code generation. So Friday morning, I woke up, I saw the news, I listened to the live stream for an hour and a half, and then watched a couple of videos recapping and doing some demos. Gave my initial thoughts on that the other day. I actually had an AI break this weekend, so I didn't do any work on the computer, didn't touch it, no LLMs, nothing. So I haven't had a chance to play with it outside of a very quick 2-3 question prompt discussion on Friday afternoon during lunch with the team. Outside of that, I'm not really sure, but feedback is mixed apparently. For instance, one video highlighted users' reactions, some calling it a coding powerhouse with dramatically reduced hallucinations, while others questioned the omission of promised multimodality and true agentic behavior. So what it does is it routes queries. There's 4 or 5 different versions of ChatGPT-5. So there's ChatGPT-5 with minimal thinking, low, medium, high, and then there's a pro in the ChatGPT interface. What happens is when you ask a question, internally it must have another LLM or itself that picks, all right, from this query, which model should we use? And it goes to that. You can tell it to think harder and it'll go to the higher ones. So it's sort of removing the ability for you to have to think about which model to use, but it does it itself, which means you may get some mixed results and not get the best model for the potential use case if it doesn't read it correctly. And then within ChatGPT itself, it's actually deprecated all the old models. So 4, 04, 03 are gone. You've just got ChatGPT-5, and I've got ChatGPT-5 Pro. We're on the business account, and I'm on the Plus subscription, I think. Another creator walked us through the event itself, pointing out stage quirks like Lego Google shoes, which was interesting. The routing system, and then there was a bit of controversy apparently on some chart that was shown, which is showing 2 bars on the right hand side at, it was 38% and 60 something percent, and then they're the same height. And then on the left is ChatGPT-5, when the first one is like 56 or 58 and it's higher than the other ones. And then it says 78 and it's much higher. It's like the scale doesn't make sense, so people are picking that apart, and everyone has to find something to complain about, I guess. I saw hands-on reactions where an early tester praised GPT-5 for handling complex coding tasks, even simulating a Rubik's Cube and recreating Word and Excel clones in one shot. Yet also spotlighted its struggles in everyday interface use. Throughout these videos, a recurring theme emerged. While GPT-5 is a technical marvel, in specific high-performance settings, it's falling short in other areas, and we've come to expect from a next-gen model. It's really got me thinking about how these trade-offs might shape future improvements. Open source models and the GPT open source revolution. So all month, everyone's been waiting for ChatGPT-5 to launch. The first news they launched last week was the open source model, which is apparently really, really good. You can run it on 16 gig of RAM for the small version. It's a mixture of experts model, which means it's got like several different LLMs inside it, and it only turns on the part of it that you need. So when it's running, it doesn't use all 20 billion parameters, only uses 3.6, and then there's a larger one which is 120 billion parameters, and that again only runs a subset, which I think you need 80 gig of RAM to run, which is not unheard of or unfeasible these days. Just as buzz around GPT-5 was peaking, there was a equally loud explosion in the open source world. In GPT-5 open source model was 2 flagship models available in huge and compact. The open source approach, complete with Apache 2.0 licensing. Now that's a really good model, licensing model. You do whatever you want with it. Take it, train it, use it offline, turn it into your bunker and knowledge base, whatever you want. Following that, I checked out an in-depth analysis on GPT open source that delved into performance on benchmarks and compared it side by side with both Western and Chinese models. These releases are not only rocking the performance charts on tasks ranging from reasoning to coding, but also promise decentralized, democratically accessible AI. And then another creator summed it all up by showing how OpenAI's surprise drop of new open source models might just break the industry by challenging long-standing closed source paradigms. ChatGPT did release open source as GPT-2. It's available on Hugging Face, I think it is. Them going back to this model aligns to the American AI, the United States of America AI directive, where they said they have to lead an open source model. So then Western ideals are being used by more countries rather than Chinese, which big fights going on there and competition. It's the new space race, really. This emerging trend of open source AI is redefining how quickly innovations can spread, and it raises big questions about security, ethics, and future competition. Stepping into new worlds, interactive simulations and world models. On a different note, Google raised the bar with its latest world model, Genie 3. I saw a video that showcased Genie 3's fully interactive video game-like simulations. Picture a gorilla striding through the digital streets or a mountain biker carving dynamic paths in real time. So Genie 3 is their open source world simulation. It's not pre-rendered game engine. Think of a game engine, but it's happening in real time as you control things. It's got the ability to understand certain number of previous frames to be able to predict the next frame. It responds to keyboard and mouse input, so you can almost play a game or like a walk through a town, and as you turn around you move, and then as you turn back what you saw was still there. That's why it needs to remember what was done before. It's really full on and amazing where this will go, because this is like movies will now be completely different, potentially moving in a few years based on this model. You may have a movie completely inside of this thing rather than the volume that they're using on The Mandalorian. The demo highlighted not only unmatched visual consistency, but also real-time interactivity that hints at huge applications in gaming, robotics, and even AI training. The AI training aspect is interesting because they were saying they could simulate billions of different combinations of effectively anything they want. So if a robot has to climb upstairs, they can generate a billion different stairs, get the software to train going up all those stairs, and then eventually the robot will know how to do it because the software's been trained on it, which is what the robot uses. So it's a quick way to simulate things and get things built, if that's the case. These breakthroughs are serious game changers. They reinvigorate our expectations for digital simulations and open doors towards more immersive AI training environments. And notably, another Roundup video group, Genie 3 and other major releases, are emphasizing a cohesive trend toward more interactive agent-driven digital worlds. Custom agent tools and coding innovations. Beyond raw model performance, there's an evolving ecosystem of specialized tools designed to empower AI agents. In the Agent Factory, episode 3, apparently something I watched, I learned how to build custom tools that ordinarily transform API calls into tailored functionalities. Essentially, it's bridging the gap between AI's brain and live data. Additionally, there was an intriguing evaluation of Horizon Beta, a model that some speculate might be a specialized coding focused variant, but Horizon Beta was the open source model, not GPT-5, which some people said. Industry moves, economic trends, and strategic visions. Last but not least, this week was marked by some major industry and economic moves. A couple of dynamic Roundup videos covered everything from massive AI investments, nearly $400 billion in capital expenditure by tech giants like Amazon and Microsoft, to bold strategic plays like the reshaping of the AI economy. For example, one conversation with HubSpot's head of AI underscored the move from traditional productivity hacks to work as a service, with AI soldiers stepping into roles that were once purely human. It's an interesting way of putting it. AI soldiers, not workers or agents. Then there are a remarkable story of Bolt, which pivoted its strategy and skyrocketed to 40 million annual recurring revenue in just a few months. They were running for 7 years, almost out of money, decided to let's test something and make it work. Ended up working with the rise of Claude 3.5. They were able to generate awesome code, and now you know who Bolt is. And not to overlook the power moves at corporate giants like Tim Cook's Apple. Apple's Tim Cook recently rallied his team by announcing an AI-first overhaul of Siri. Finally, Siri might actually start using an LLM and be smart rather than the dumb assistant they are now. Apparently, he said that AI is theirs for the taking. They've got so much cash in reserves, I'm sure they can buy some of these big companies and just leapfrog their position or where they currently are. So it's interesting though they haven't done it yet, but a lot of people do say Apple's not a first mover, which we know. They're not the first of anything. They just end up designing things well, and then if you're in the ecosystem, you just go along for the ride. So I don't know what that'll mean for this though, because Siri will be better integrated, and if it's sort of like a ChatGPT app on my phone on Android or something else built into Apple, and it actually does have more smart capability and it's integrated to all your apps, I'm sure that'll take over and blow up as well. These developments collectively signal a broader transformation across industries, where rapid investment, strategic pivots, and groundbreaking product launches are redefining not just technology, but the overall economy. So what's the takeaway? Whether it's the whirlwind GPT-5 reactions, the democratizing push of open source models, or the radical new tools and immersive simulations emerging in the scene, AI is evolving faster than ever. Every development, even the critiques and bumps along the way, is a stepping stone towards more autonomous, interconnected world. I'm excited to see where these journeys lead and how they'll reshape the way we work, play, and solve problems. That's another weekly AI news roundup. GPT-5, the open source models, they're the two biggest things out. Claude Opus 4.1 was released. That wasn't even touched upon by the AI. I didn't even pick that up. But that was released last week as well, on the same day as open source model, along with a Genie 3. Genie 3 is interesting. Don't have a use case. It'll just be something to play with. 4.1 will be interesting to test in the coding tools. I'll probably do that tonight. And try GPT-5, and then I'll be using GPT-5 as we go through the week, because I probably have 30 chats running and I can revamp them with a new model. So it's always a challenge trying to keep this up and understand and summarize and distill the information, but it's moving faster. It's all incremental gains for now until we start getting the self-recursive AI that can learn and teach itself, but everything's moving in that direction. If you've got any ideas on how I can improve this, any suggestions or something you don't like, please let me know. I'm always open to ideas and how we can make things better, either for my team or for the general public. And until next week, good luck staying on top of everything.